Okay, so now we're moving on to step 3. Melt the chocolate, set aside. So the best way to melt chocolate, you can either do it in the microwave or you can get a pan of hot water. So if you just boil from a kettle and then pop the water in your pan, so you basically have a nice bubbling hot, I think it's called a bain-marie of some description. And then you want 175 grams of dark chocolate. The only reason I've used buttons is because it was all that was in the shop. You could just break up the chocolate from a chocolate bar, but it needs to be 175 grams. So you pop that over the top of the boiling water, but don't let the water touch the bottom of the bowl. And then that will melt nicely. Excuse the mess. Okay, so melt chocolate set aside. So then you need to put the cream cheese, the sugar, and the 150 ml of sour cream, Kahlua, and coffee into a bowl and beat. So we want 125 grams of sugar. So I think that's right. 125 grams of sugar. It's 2 packs of Philadelphia. I've just used a big family pack here, but you probably need to use 2 actual packs. That's what it says on my recipe. So I'm just going to get that out and pop it in here. Again, working out how to do that whilst I'm actually talking to you. I'm just going to get a spoon out and just do that here like this. Yeah, this is again proving to be slightly complicated. I should have done a here's one I made earlier with all of my ingredients and got them all out into nice professional looking little bowls like they do in the cooking shows. But given that I'm not a cooking show, that's not really going to work. So just bear with me 2 seconds. Okay, so Philadelphia is in the bowl. We then need to add the sour cream and the Kahlua. So sour cream wise, we need 150 ml. So this is a 300 ml pack. So probably about half of that. Just take the lid off there. You can use full fat or low fat sour cream, either or. I have gone for light Philadelphia. Again, that's probably just because that was all that was in the shop. So I'm going to stick about half of this sour cream into the bowl like that. So that's that one sorted out. I'll just put that to one side. Cream cheese, sugar, 150 ml sour cream, Kahlua, and coffee. So coffee wise, it was 2 tablespoons of ground coffee, which is there we go, 1, 2, about that. I'm just going to stick the lot in just because, and then just sort of move it around a little bit. So it's my nice crunchy ground coffee, and then I'm just going to add the 50 ml of Kahlua, although I'm using this Ponzi Conquer cold brew liqueur. It's pretty much the same thing. I can't actually get the lid off. Again, something I should have thought about. And then also I'm going to put in the this is a double shot of espresso that's cooled down. I believe it has to be cooled down so that it doesn't curdle or cook any of the cream. Meanwhile, just keep a check on your chocolate, make sure that it's not burning or anything. You can in fact stir it around, give it a good stir just to make sure that it's melting, because it does need to be relatively cool when you stir it in. So it's best to do this bit first ideally, or make sure that it's done, because you don't want to be putting chocolate into the rest of the mixture while it's hot. So back to this one again. I'm just going to try and take the lid off the Kahlua, just 2 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to pour 50 ml in. You might want to measure this. I'm just going to do it free pour a little bit. I did used to work in a bar. That's my That's my disclaimer, so I roughly know what 50ml sort of feels like as a pour. And then also the coffee needs to go in as well. I'm actually going to get a electric mixer on the case here, just because I'm going to use a hand mixer, which again, with foresight, I would have got out earlier. All these things you don't think about that go into making a professional cooking video. I think I have a newfound respect for, I was going to say Nigella Lawson, but mostly just the team who surround these people who make these videos. So I'm just going to keep going here. I'm reluctant to pause the video, you see, otherwise you're going to end up with too many of them. And ideally, I only really want you to have the video in steps, so otherwise you're going to have to keep pressing play and finding and downloading a new video, which isn't ideal. Right, so I'm just going to be a bit noisy at the moment here, so I'm going to whisk this in with a hand mixer. Ooh, hello. Right, I'm just going to stop a moment there and add my coffee in. There we go, add the coffee in. Ignore the child, who's quite repetitive and annoying. And here we go again. Ready? So that should start to look like a nice smooth mixture, all mixed in together. Now, if you don't have an electric hand mixer, you can always just beat this by hand. I'd recommend using a sort of spatula or a spoon or something that's got a bit of a flat side to it, so that you can actually like mix it properly. I would probably just have a swig of this. That's pretty good. That makes me feel better. Oh, that's actually really good. I'm gonna have another bit. Excuse me. Meanwhile, you need to make sure that your chocolate hasn't burnt. Steady away. That looks like it's pretty much melting in nicely. If I just move this around a bit there, that's all good. And that pan's going to stay quite hot, so I just need to be a bit careful with that. And so I am there, that's all melted there like that. So I'm just going to take this off the heat, turn the heat down, and just set my chocolate to one side. I'd take it off the pan of hot water and just let it cool slightly. You don't want it to set, obviously, but you don't want it to be too hot, so just take it across like that, and I'm just going to leave that there for the moment. Okay, lovely. Right, next, so this mixture here is cream cheese, 2 packs of Philadelphia, sugar 125ml, 150ml of sour cream, shot of Kahlua, well 50ml of Kahlua, shot of coffee, 50ml of coffee, and the ground coffee as well, and that's all beaten in. So that was step 3. Step 4 is to get the corn flour and some eggs and beat until smooth. So this is 3 eggs into another bowl and the corn flour. So I'm going to attempt, this may well be fairly hilarious, I'm going to attempt to crack the eggs and put them in. I'll just put this back on the shelf up here. I'm going to attempt to get the eggs and the corn flour, although I can't remember how much corn flour it actually was, so I might have to look that up. Hang on a second. 1 egg. Oh. Trying not to get, oh, professionally done. Try not to get any shell in. And I failed, so there is a tiny bit of shell in there, so I'm just going to fish that out. Okay, that's not gone well. Oh, okay. There we go, good. So one bit of shell out, and I'm just going to find another spoon. Bear with me again. Do you know, I reckon this is so much easier when you've got a team of people surrounding you. Ignore the fact that I've just picked the spoon up off the floor. You're not going to eat this cake, so it doesn't matter. Right, I'm now just fishing the eggshell out of the egg. Hopefully you won't have to do that, but you know, it's just a facet of having to basically crack eggs one-handed whilst also trying to video and talk to you. There we go, another one. And I've got another bit of shell in there. This is an epic fail. Well done, Jess. So as you can see, the professionalism that's going into this cake is exceptional. Okay, and here's another one. I need to find another way of doing this. There we go, good. Oh, I managed not to get any get any shell in. I'm going to put these in the composter over here. Lovely. And then I probably should beat these with a fork. Still can't quite remember how much corn flour I need. So corn flour, the basic premise of the corn flour is to thicken the mixture. If you put too much in, it will just be a little bit floury and it won't be very nice. But I'm not sure I can remember without clicking off this, so I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to guess. Okay, so beat the corn flour and the eggs. So this is step 4. Beat the corn flour and the eggs until smooth. It turns out I haven't got much corn flour anyway, so I'm just going to bung in what I've got. Yeah, which is now being really awkward and refusing to come out the packet. Oh dear Lord, whose idea was this? Avi, I'm blaming you. Right. I reckon it's probably about a tablespoon if the description. I'm going to beat it until it's all nice and smooth. Thicken it all up a bit. At the end of the day, the worst thing that's going to happen if you don't have enough corn flour in is it's not going to be very thick, which means that the cheesecake won't set particularly well, and it will still taste nice. It will just be a bit more of a dessert rather than an actual solid cheesecake. Again, like I said at the beginning, you know, when you're using loads of really nice ingredients, like what actually is the worst that can happen? It's just going to taste like a sugary, coffee, alcohol-y, chocolatey mess. Which frankly I'm not that bothered about. I think that's probably still alright. Okay, so we've beat the egg into this, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stir it all into the other mixture, so that coffee, coolery, sort of lovely creamy mixture. I'm just going to do that now and pour that all in. It's probably a little bit lumpy for my liking, but never mind. Sure, what the hell. Let's stir that in. Stir it in. There we go. I now have a newfound respect also for our camera guys in our advertising agency where I work, because obviously they have to keep the camera still. Mind you, they're not keeping the camera still whilst they're also attempting to cook and wonder what the smallest child is up to because she's just gone feral in the back garden. But you know, it's all good. Hope you guys are doing alright in the lockdown, by the way. It's driving me fairly crazy, as you can probably tell. So it was nice to be able to do this challenge. I'm pretty chuffed to be able to share my terrible cooking and baking technique. You know how in MasterChef, if you ever watch that, where they say, oh, you know, you didn't get the actual end outcome look right, but your workings out were great. Yeah, my workings out are not so great. Okay, so here is the cheesecake mix that you've got. Lovely, looking good. Oh, and so now we need to stir in the chocolate. So remember the chocolate from before? So that is here, and that's just going to be poured into here. I'm just going to put the video down for 2 seconds while I do that, because otherwise it's going to end up all over the place. Bear with me. So I am going to keep talking while I do this. The screen's gone a bit black. That's because I'm basically videoing the counter and the tabletop, which is nice for you. But you can listen to me and my daughter doing some kind of writing in the background, which is nice, isn't it, Amelia? You doing some writing, sweetheart? Good, lovely. Right, here we go. Oh, in a minute she's probably going to be requesting to lick this bowl, which I don't really blame her because frankly it looks and smells delicious. There we go. Right, so that's the end of the bowl. Like, I usually do a better job of that, but the kids do quite like having that. I might just have another swig of this actually, to be honest. Right, let's just take the lid off that, and then that's the chocolate gone in here. So I'm going to stir this so it all mixes in lovely. Good-o. So then that starts to look something like a chocolatey sort of cheesecake mix. In honesty, I think it should look thicker than this. So I'm not entirely sure I've got it right. So if yours does, when you do it, if yours does look a bit thicker, that's all right. And at least you've got the ability to pause it and work through what it might actually supposed to be like. So anyway, so ultimately you should have some sort of mixture that looks a little bit like this. What I'm then going to do is get out of the fridge, the kitchen, anyway, out of my lovely looking fridge with a leprechaun on it. No reason other than at some point it was clearly St. Patrick's Day. So just getting this out of the fridge now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put this on a baking tray, if I can find one that doesn't look despicable. Yeah, this one's pretty bad, but never mind. What the hell? I'm sure you're not proud. I'm not. Right, here we are. So here is the biscuit base that has been chilling. So it's fairly hard now at the bottom because obviously the butter is set. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this is, oh, there's Lily. We're going to make sure that this all looks good and is all nice and stirred in. And now everybody's suddenly going to come into the video, which is not ideal. And then we're just going to pour this over the top like this. There we go. So then that looks lovely. And hopefully, oh, it should get nearly to the top. Yeah, looking good. Looking good. That's my husband sneezing in the background. I promise he hasn't actually got coronavirus. But it doesn't really matter because you're not going to be eating this particular cake. So that's all good. So then this should look a bit like that. Starting to look cheesecake-like. And then you pop it in the oven. Here's the oven. Obviously you know what an oven looks like. Yours probably looks better than mine. So pour over the biscuit base. And this is now on to step 5. Which is bake for 1 hour until the top is firm and the centre is wobbly. So yeah, set a timer for about an hour, well, maybe an hour and 10, depends on your oven, so just keep an eye on it. And yeah, the top should be firm but the centre should be a little bit wobbly. And then as soon as you get to that point, remove it and cool the cake down for about 10 minutes, but leave your oven on because you will need it for the next stage. Right, see you in about an hour.